Meanwhile, Israel and Lebanon to hold a new round of talks in Washington later. During it, Beirut expected to request a 1-month extension of the ceasefire, due to expire within days, of course. Israel saying ahead of the talks that it has no serious disagreements with Lebanon, calling on the two to work together against the pro-Iran Hezbollah. Hezbollah notably absent, as it was indeed at the first round of talks, which you can see images of here. And indeed, Hezbollah still opposed to those talks as well. The talks happening between the Israeli and Lebanese ambassadors once again. Well, let's talk to our correspondent, Noga Tarnopolsky. She joins us, in fact, from Nazareth today, and as well our international affairs editor, Philip Turle, with me here on set. We're going to start with you, Noga. The two ambassadors, they're meeting in Washington. Some of the cards, would you say, already on the table from both sides as they go into this meeting?
Absolutely. And I think we should say that these cards are not surprising, but were very well laid down by the United States, by the American mediators, who suddenly, after quite a long war, remembered that this is also a hot border between Israel and Lebanon, and are making significant efforts to really historically change the situation between Israel and Lebanon that have never had diplomatic relations. So these talks are being framed both as an effort to put into place, to really enforce the November 2024 ceasefire agreement, also mediated by the United States, in which it was decreed that Hezbollah, an Islamist terror group, had to disarm completely and leave the border area. But also, on a wider scale, these talks aim at establishing normal diplomatic ties between these two bordering countries that, as a matter of fact, don't really have any dispute, the two sovereign states. So let's hope that these talks are just aimed at creating a pathway towards real negotiations, and there is a possibility that this could bring some change.
Philip, it doesn't sound from what Noga's saying there that there's that much hope really for these talks, does it?
Well, I think the big absentee here, or the elephant in the room who's absent, is Hezbollah, because without Hezbollah at the talks around the table, it's pretty uncertain that there is going to be some progress made in trying to find a way out of the current impasse between Israel and Lebanon over the occupation of southern Lebanon, which is what the Lebanese want the Israelis to withdraw from, the so-called yellow line. And the fact that the Israelis want the Lebanese to disarm Hezbollah. And those are the two major issues that are on the table right now that I think these talks today won't be able to settle. It's true what Noga was saying. This is a very long-term process. I think there's nothing bad about meeting for talks. These are only talks on ambassadorial level. So they're not talks between presidents and prime ministers moving forward to try and find a long-term solution to the standoff. But there's nothing wrong with meeting. There's nothing wrong with meeting the United States. There are some top American officials who will be at the table today, including Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, the Israeli ambassador to the United States as well. So there are quite a lot of important people around that table who will be trying to push the Lebanese government to move forward with its attempts to negotiate some kind of way forward with Hezbollah. That, of course, won't be very easy for the Lebanese government because Hezbollah is much more powerful, has more weapons, it has more manpower than the Lebanese army. But as I was saying, I think that any movement forward is going to be looked upon as being a positive movement.
Noga, let's bring you back in. I mean, this impasse, if you like, and the pressure from the US that's been put on to stop the fighting. I mean, where is it leaving, would you say, the hardliners in Israel?
Oh, it has absolutely stranded the hardliners in Israel. The Israeli government, including Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defense minister, his top ministers, have really been scrambling on the level of messaging to the Israeli people, because they have spent months basically saying that the Lebanese state is a terror harboring state, and they now have to change their message to what was a more traditional Israeli message, but years ago, before Netanyahu adopted a much harder line. I would like, though, to link these two negotiations. I don't know if the US and Iran will renew, in fact, the talks in Pakistan, but if they do, we should expect that Iran, that is the sponsor and the funder of Hezbollah, will represent the Hezbollah position there. I don't know if the United States will represent the Israeli position, but Iran certainly can impose its will on Hezbollah. So I think the United States, at least, is counting on being able to use the other, more major talks in Islamabad as leverage.
We shall follow it. Noga, thanks very much. Noga joining us there today, in fact, from Nazareth. I mean, Philip, yeah, as you said, it really is Hezbollah, which is the huge absence, and it's that, isn't it, that's the kind of sticking point here, really.
Well, Hezbollah has made it clear that it doesn't agree with these discussions and that it doesn't want to have anything to do with what is going on. The Hezbollah chief, Naim Qassem, issued a statement a few days ago saying we reject the negotiations with the occupying Israeli entity. These negotiations are futile. These negotiations require a Lebanese consensus on changing direction. So that just about sums up what Hezbollah thinks about all of this. As I was saying, it's a highly militarized militia, I suppose is the right term for Hezbollah, although there have been attempts in the past to disarm Hezbollah. They have come to nothing. We go back to the Taif Accords of 1989, which called for the disarmament of all factions in Lebanon after the end of the Lebanese war. Hezbollah refusing to do that, seeing itself as a resistance movement and not a militia at the time. So since then, it's managed to draw up really huge amounts of support amongst the population, large amounts of weapons, ballistic missiles. So it certainly is a force to be reckoned with, but nothing on the par of Israel and what Israel's military is capable of doing. But these talks, we've seen them advancing a little bit. But while Hezbollah is not taking part, it's difficult to see what the Lebanese government can do to actually move forward, even if they may agree with what Israel wants, without the participation of Hezbollah.